how all of this other stuff is going on, and yet it is. So how I see Pakistan is a real paradox, and I don't think anybody has really figured it out yet. Maybe a few Pakistanis have, but very few of us outsiders have. A paradox, and if I can sort of paraphrase Churchill, inside a contradiction, inside an enigma, because it really is a contradiction of competing forces on the one hand, bad political culture on the other, modern aspects of society on the other. I mean, there are just 100 different things going on, and it's a lot of moving parts, and how they're going to come together, if ever, I don't know.
And you are part of the South Asia expert enclave in Washington, D.C.
Thank you.
Do you think that Washington really understands Pakistan?
I think we're understanding it better, because I think it's like we became pretty good at understanding the Soviets after a long time, because we decided that we needed to know them. I think we've now decided that we need to know Pakistanis in Pakistan. So there are more and more people who know quite a bit about Pakistan. Do we completely understand it? Probably not.
You're also ambassador to Bangladesh.
Right.
And your book essentially is a comparative study of Bangladesh and Pakistan.
It started out as more of a sort of a scholarly comparison, and to look as much at the economy and the social development. It turned out that the publisher and the reviewers thought that there was too much economy and too much social development and not enough politics. So it ended up as more of a comparison of political profiles. But yes, and books, I think, take on a life of their own. So this one sort of developed like Topsy, and I couldn't stop it. But it is, I do compare the political profiles of the two countries. And part of that is because when I first started thinking about it, way back, even before I went to Bangladesh, you had two countries which had once been the same country, two parts of the same country, which were both by then failed democracies, military dictatorships, and both run by a man named Zia. So I thought, that's interesting. Are these really, two pegs off the same stump, or what?
And both on the basis of a 1/8 amendment.
That's right, yeah. But in fact, I found, after I was in Bangladesh and then got to Pakistan, very different countries, very different indeed, and with very different political trajectories. So I thought that was an interesting thing to write about.
Which of the two do you think has a better trajectory?
Oh, I'm afraid to say Bangladesh right now. But Bangladesh has serious problems of its own. But the problems in Bangladesh are more easily dispensed with, more easily handled, because they are all problems they can deal with at the sort of civil society level. They just need a better political culture, and once, shall we say, the present leaders are replaced by a younger crew, that may happen. And they need the better political culture to improve governance. And once governance is improved, they have been building through some sort of social consensus, because this is a homogeneous country, Bangladesh. They've been building for the last 25 years a kind of social infrastructure that's going to place them very well. Good education, they have far higher literacy than Pakistan, and much higher girls' education than Pakistan. In fact, the gender gap in Bangladesh is the other way. More girls go to school than boys. They've developed this really super export sector in garments that is very competitive, that has maintained competitiveness even with the Chinese coming crashing into the market. Their population is mostly under control. Their population growth is way down. Their health care is improved. They've got enormous NGOs which are very non-political. In fact, BRAC has now become the biggest NGO in the world and is spread out. It has operations here in Pakistan, it has operations in Afghanistan, and I find it has operations in Uganda, Sierra Leone, and my old bailiwick of Liberia. They're all over. And in fact, I saw Fazl Abed and I accused him of being an imperialist, but he...
Well, there are lots of organizations on the social side, and I think their monopoly is better than that of Blackwater.
Well, that is true. That is true,
So,
yes, but that's also unkind.
Coming back to Pakistan, South Asia, South and West Asia, if you were the ambassador still, the US ambassador to Pakistan, how would you have assessed this new review policy vis-a-vis, I mean, the famous AFPAC policy?
Well, let me say first that we have an extremely good ambassador here. I think she's done a really terrific job. I like her a lot, and I wouldn't want to. I don't want to be in her place because she's got a very hard job. I think, from my perspective, sitting in Washington, we perhaps did a little bit too much AF and not enough PAC, if you will. And I was particularly unhappy, if you will, both in the spring when it was first announced and named AFPAC, and then later when the president made his West Point speech. With the, I understand why he did it and why he thought he had to do it, but the emphasis on an exit strategy, I think, was not the message that Pakistanis would want to hear or should hear, and in fact, perhaps Americans want to hear it, but it's really probably not a good message for Americans either, because this may last for a while.
Well, Ambassador Milam, we've run out of time. There are lots of other questions that I probably have put to you. I'll probably put them to you off camera now.
Thank you. Very nice.
आपने हमारी गुफ्तगू सुनी एम्बेसडर विलियम बी माइलम से. बहुत सारी बातें उस ज़माने के जो है वो वाक़यात वो उन्होंने उसके बारे में बात की. अगर आप हमें कोई फ़ीडबैक देना चाहते हैं तो लिखिए ejazhaider26@gmail.com. मैं दोहरा देता हूँ ejazhaider26@gmail.com. इसके अलावा अगर आप हमसे फ़ेसबुक पर रब्ता करना चाहते हैं तो सियासियात विद एजाज़ हैदर पे हमसे रब्ता कर सकते हैं. इंशाअल्लाह आपकी खिदमत में फिर हाज़िर होंगे सियासियात को लेके. तब तक के लिए इजाज़त दीजिए. खुदा हाफ़िज़.